It looks like we're seeing a machine gun mounted on an elephant. This was back in 1914. It was 1976. A Soviet explorer, Nikolai Machuliak, was out near Cape Schmidt, off the coast of the Chukchi Sea. He was busy feeding a polar bear and her cubs. He offered them some condensed milk and meat. It seems they're pulling a horse out of a canal. This happened in Amsterdam back in 1929. It's 1940. There's Albert Einstein, with his secretary Helen on the left and his daughter Margaret on the right. They're becoming United States citizens. This was to avoid going back to Nazi Germany. An American aviator named Mathilde Moisant. This picture was taken in 1912. She was the second woman in the United States to earn a pilot's license. Here we have the Radio Shack TRS-80 microcomputer system, dating to 1977. The Hindenburg was going down in flames. A radio announcer witnessing the scene cried out, "Oh, the humanity!" This disaster, which happened in 1937, put an end to the age of Zeppelin travel. At Camp Pendleton, in October of 1956, Marines were using 3 M23 and 1 M24 training aids. Here is a young woman, Ella Harper, a girl. She's got her hands and feet on the ground like she's a camel. It's 1886. She was born with a rare condition, making her knees bend backward. Her stage name was the Camel Girl, and she performed for several years. She earned $200 a week, which was a lot of money at the time. Her story is a testament to the human spirit and the fascination with the unusual during the late 19th century. Here's a charming scene. A young French boy is meeting some Indian soldiers. They'd just gotten to France to fight alongside the French and British forces. This happened in Marseille on the 30th of September 1914. Standing before you is Balaji Badejo, a 7-foot Nigerian design student and actor. He's wearing his costume from the now classic science fiction thriller Alien. This was back in 1978. The scene shows acrobats balancing on top of the Empire State Building. This picture was taken in 1934. It looks like some kids are having a blast playing on a pile of mattresses. This was in England back in 1981. The Puddle Jumper. It was 1934. This is a slave torture device. The collar could have been used to keep him from escaping through narrow openings, like windows and things like that. The year was 1863. There's a couple, dressed in Victorian clothing, riding a tandem bicycle. This picture must have been taken sometime in the 1890s. Outside the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle in Washington, D.C., you see John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. saluting. It's a really powerful image, especially knowing it was taken in 1963. He's honouring his father's coffin. This image features David Lynch from 1964. Here we have a charming image of Charlie Chaplin. It seems like the year is 1919. The Three Polar Stars, 1913. Guillaume Benjamin Amand Duchesne, a French neurologist, is shown conducting an experiment. It's electrophysiology, and he's using electrical probes. The probes are used to trigger a subject's muscles. The goal is to produce a particular facial expression. This took place in the middle of the 19th century. Here's what we've got. A man named Jacob Nacken, who was the tallest soldier in the German army during World War II. He stood at an incredible 7 feet and 3 inches tall. This was sometime in the year 1944. It's 1941, and there's a day of fun for children in London. A woman from the Inuit people adorned with jewellery. This picture was taken in Alaska in 1929. It's Albert Einstein around the age of 5. The year is 1884 and he's in Munich. A Seattle Transit System Line truck at 3rd and Pike, June 1946. The year was 1904. You're standing on a bustling Coney Island boardwalk. We're looking at Freddie McIntosh, and he's 8 years old. He's wearing a special sun protection suit. It's because Freddie's skin is very sensitive to daylight due to an illness. Here a nanny is busy, pouring drinks for a group of children. It seems to be some kind of manger, a place where working mothers could leave their little ones in the care of others. The year is 1919. You're looking at a scene from the Battle of Hue. It shows a shell-shocked United States Marine. This happened in 1968. The scene takes place in Italy around the year 1950. It features some street performers. There's a young Sean Connery. This would have been before he became famous as James Bond. He's competing in the Mr. Universe pageant. That was in 1953. This is Frank Lentini. He had 3 legs, 4 feet, and 16 toes. Interestingly, he also had 2 functioning sets of genitals. The vehicle, known as Pisar, appeared on the scene in 1943. This was a secret German armoured motorcycle. In 1938, a constable finds a group of youngsters. They'd wriggled underneath a canvas covering to get a glimpse of a circus act. The scene is set in New York in 1916. There's a blind woman. The day was November 1963. It was a sombre occasion as the nation mourned. A procession moved slowly, carrying the casket, followed by a grieving family. The crowd stood in silence, a sea of faces, watching as the cortege passed by. The weight of the moment was felt by all, marking a significant day in American history. This picture shows athlete Ivy Russell from Surrey, England, who was born in 1907. She's performing a bent press and she's lifting 47 kilograms. Ivy herself weighed 57 kilograms. The image was probably taken sometime in the 1930s. Here's the scene. Walt Disney's chatting with a cat. This happened way back in 1931. He seems to be explaining something, perhaps about Mickey Mouse. In certain tribes, some individuals chose to sharpen and file their teeth. This is one of the few images we have of President Andrew Jackson. It was taken shortly before he passed away in 1845. It looks like a beautiful day at Coney Island. A line of happy beachgoers are all smiles posing together in the sun. This was back in 1965. It was the 26th of September 1934. A grand event unfolded at the John Brown and Company shipyard in Clydebank. They were launching the Cunard White Star liner, hull number 534. Soon, the world would know her as the Queen Mary. This looks like a fishing boat, completely encased in ice. The location is British Columbia, and the photo was taken in the year 1916. Back in the 1940s, car seats for children were a far cry from what we have now. They didn't have any of the safety features we rely on, which meant they were really dangerous compared to what we expect today. James Naismith, the guy who invented basketball, is holding an old basketball in a basket. This was a while ago, before 1939, but the exact date isn't known. The Cycloma, an amphibious bicycle, debuted in Paris in 1932. It never became popular. Elizabeth Taylor with her brother Howard Taylor in the year 1937. Here we see Marie Delroy at work. She's running a television transmitter. This was for the General Electric Company back in 1928. Back in the 1930s, an inventor named A.J. Graffam was trying to make things safer. He came up with this bumper, a sponge rubber seat. The idea was to protect pedestrians from injuries if they were hit by a speeding automobile. This is a pretty unsettling Halloween costume. It looks like someone put a lot of effort into it. The details are really something. It's quite spooky. I'd be surprised if this person didn't win a prize. We're looking at a scene in Virginia, sometime between 1909 and 1912. Let's talk about a pretty interesting invention. It was called the Benny railplane, and it was named after its inventor, George Benny. This thing opened on July 8, 1930, in a town called Milngarvey, which is just outside of Glasgow. A bar kitty moves in while a patron snoozes. This was back in 1947. Well, here's what we've got. John Burroughs and Henry Ford together. They're in the very first Ford car. It was finished in June of 1896. The year was 1956 and the location was New Jersey. There was a friendly wager on the line. A pair of twins dressed up in costumes someone made for them. It looks like this snapshot was taken sometime during the 1930s. The Harlem Hellfighters, the 369th Infantry Regiment, are coming home. They were a well-known black regiment from New York, and they served during World War I. It's 1919. It's Dolly Parton and this is sometime in the late 1960s. Prisoners engaged in a game of chess. The year is 1972. Here, a young boy, unable to use his legs, is trying to knock down coconuts. This must be part of his therapy, maybe a stroll through the grounds. The year is 1955. Here we see a stylish family outing from 1946. It's the 17th of February, 1931, and we're at a rugby match. Someone from Guy's Hospital is up on the goalpost getting ready for the game. They're hanging up their team's colours before they play St Bartholomew's Hospital, and the match is in Richmond. The Golden Gate Bridge opened in 1937, and it was absolutely packed with excited visitors. Over 200,000 people came to see it, and they really clogged up the bridge. A man is getting ready to listen to some music. It looks like he's about to enjoy a record player. This was back in 1922. British soldiers are putting some ammunition into a pack. The pack is for a military dog named Mark. This happened in the year 1941. Here's a young soldier, probably not much older than 12 or 13. He's wearing a uniform and holding a rifle. His face looks serious, almost stoic. It's a really striking image. There's Charlie Chaplin. You can see him in a frame from his film perched on someone's shoulder. It looks like it's from 1918. The men's department at St Luke's Hospital. This was in New York in 1917. This picture shows a Hidatsa Indian with an eagle he's captured. It's from 1908. Two men are showing off a pipe they're calling the double ender. This was in New York back on June 2nd, 1949. There are 4 women attending a convention. They are in Washington, in the year 1916. We're looking at a picture of Saddam Hussein. The photo was taken in 1963. It seems like a long, slender cabin. There's a row of seats on either side of a narrow aisle. The seats look pretty basic, like they're made of some kind of fabric and metal. Overhead there are these large, boxy compartments, likely for storing luggage. It appears to be a pretty tight space, with not much room to move around. The whole thing probably fit about 24 people. We're looking at a beach scene from 1939. It looks like there were clowns at the Children's Hospital in Washington. This was way back in 1923. This is a picture of Franca Viola, an Italian woman. She became famous during the 1960s for something really brave. She publicly refused to accept the twisted tradition of marrying the man who had raped her. The air hangs heavy with the aftermath of the blast. A lone figure, a survivor perhaps, shuffles through the debris. The year is 1945. The devastation is immense. A Japanese nurse wearing black is standing somewhere. This was during the Russo-Japanese War, way back in 1905. Before dirigibles had pilot cabins, England, 1917. A group of students is gathered at Michigan Highland Park Universe. The year is 1939. They appear to be in a driving class. It's 1930, and here's Richard Nixon. Felix Wehrle. During a raid on an illegal distillery in Detroit in 1929, Prohibition agents made a discovery. Alcohol gushed out of the storefront windows. Here's what we're looking at. A beautiful woman. It's the 1920s and she's just stunning. It looks like we're taking a trip back to the beginning. We're looking at the very first photo shoot of the Rolling Stones. The date was the 4th of May, 1963. The images showcase a young Dorothy Lamour. She's striking a pose and her long hair is on full display. These pictures were taken during the 1930s. Warsaw Ghetto, Poland. You're looking at architect Jørn Utzon standing in front of the Sydney Opera House. It's been 8 years since his design was chosen, and they're already 6 years into building it. The year is 1965. The scene shows a group of blind veterans participating in the first ever walking event. It took place in 1922. The soldiers are feeding polar bears. They're using tins of condensed milk. This was in the Soviet Union back in 1950. We've got Will Robertson, a member of the Washington Bicycle Club, taking his bike down the steps of the United States Capitol building. Let's take a look at Times Square, a long time ago. Imagine it back in 1921. The street scene is buzzing with buildings rising up all around. It's a pretty captivating view, isn't it? There's a young chimpanzee named Kokomo Jr. He's hanging out in a New York City apartment. This was back in 1955. It appears people are scaring sparrows at the Summer Palace in Beijing, China. The year is 1958. A fake tree. It was used as an observation post and even a sniper nest during the First World War. This was on the front line, and it was the British Army that set it up. The image shows a chest X-ray being taken. It was at Dr. Maxime Menard's radiology department in the Cochin Hospital in Paris, back in 1914. Menard would later unfortunately lose a finger due to side effects from operating the X-ray machine. There's a growth on someone's head that's really puffed up. It looks like this was taken in 1889. The year's 1944, and these women are lending a hand at Pearl Harbor. It's the year 1957, and in Toccoa, Georgia, a remarkable feat is underway. A man, Paul Anderson, is demonstrating his incredible strength. This American weightlifter, powerlifter, and strongman is tackling a tremendous challenge, lifting 2 enormous wheels.